but I would take the Vikings defense over the Saints defense any day. With the exception of, what's his name?
Lattimore.
Yeah, with the exception of Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah.
Marshawn Lattimore can start on any team, though.
But I still have to disagree because I think you put the best player forward.
No, you put
let's also pump the brakes on this whole he's won 7 games in a row thing. Okay,
what is it, 6?
No, 6. I don't care about it being 6 or 7. The 2 games that I find impressive: 1, the Vikings. 2 was the Redskins, which he almost blew because he threw 2 interceptions late in the game that allowed them to crawl back into that. The other teams that you're talking about are as follows: the Browns, the Ravens, the Packers without Aaron Rodgers, the Bears, and the Lions.
Did we not just say that the Bears have a really good defense?
Okay, and they won that by 3 points.
Again, the Falcons? Falcons almost lost
I didn't
to the
even
Bears.
mention. Ravens.
No, I'm saying the Falcons almost lost to the Bears, and now they're a favorite to get back to the Super Bowl.
The Bears are?
No, the Falcons.
They're a favorite to get back to the Super Bowl.
They are.
They're a what?
Yes.
I disagree with
look in Vegas.
They're third in their conference.
I understand that. Go to Vegas.
Yeah, well, Vegas
I don't care what Vegas has to say about it.
You always care about Vegas.
I know, but Vegas is always trying to pad their books. There's a reason that the house always wins. Okay? So I'm not going to sit there and base my opinion on that one, Vegas.
Why are you guys sitting here making me argue like Case Keenum's the greatest? I'm not saying Case Keenum is a great quarterback. I'm saying that at the moment, on the current roster, he's the best chance for them to win.
I think there's a reason that the coaches, despite Keenum's winning streak, still are like that close to pulling the trigger.
The Bills coaches put in Nate Peterman.
That was a completely different reasoning though, because the Vikings are good. They know they're good, and they think that they can be a Super Bowl winning team. But I think, agree with me that Case Keenum probably ain't going to do it for them.
So I didn't say if Keenum loses this week, you take a chance with Bridgewater.
Yeah, if Keenum is the reason you lose the game, then yes. If Keenum has no turnovers and you still lose the game, I say you still go with Keenum, especially if it's something stupid like Adam Thielen fumbles in his return for a touchdown. That's why you lose. That's not Keenum. It's not his fault.
Right, but he might not lose you games, but Bridgewater, we saw, could win you games. And that's the difference between a Super Bowl winning team and a playoff team.
But I think you're not accepting of the fact that this guy hasn't thrown a football in 2 years.
He has thrown a football.
He is in practice
to a receiver when it mattered, when there's pressure on him.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Injuries happen.
He showed up when he was
happen.
a rook and went to playoffs. I don't think that him being absent for a season and a
Joel Embiid almost didn't play for 2.5 years, and he set up a stat line that's never been done.
There's a difference between basketball and football.
Obviously.
We're
talking about time off.
He also got the start immediately from the beginning of the season when he was fully healthy, not in the middle of a win streak.
He has not been getting the start since the beginning of the season. He's been on a minute restriction when the season started, and he wasn't allowed to start all of the games to begin the season.
Okay, you can't put Bridgewater on a minute restriction.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is talent will win out. There is, again, I don't understand how you don't get this. He was third on the depth chart. First on the depth chart was Teddy Bridgewater, IR, down. Second on the depth chart was Sam Bradford. Third was Case Keenum.
First on the depth chart was Tony Romo. He went down. Second on the depth chart was Kellen Moore. He went down. Third on the depth chart was Dak Prescott. And you know what? He's the damn starter.
Yeah, right.
Romo's gone.
And now we may see who Dak Prescott really is.
Well, this isn't a fair representation of Dak Prescott.
I think this argument is moot because I think Case Keenum is going to, shoot himself in the foot within the next game or two and open the door for Bridgewater.
That being said, like I said earlier, when we first started the argument, there's no reason to change now. You don't mess with something that's not broken.
Then why are you fighting me?
Because Teddy Bridgewater is better than Case Keenum is.
I'm not saying Teddy Bridgewater is not better. Teddy Bridgewater has the potential to be one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL. I recognize that. I know that you guys clearly see that as well. All I'm arguing is not this season. unless Case Keenum forces the issue.
I disagree because I don't think you play it safe if you want to win it all.
You're not playing safe when you're winning games. It's not playing it safe when you are actively winning and winning well. You just beat one of the best teams in the NFL by 17 points.
Do we know they're one of the best teams,
I don't
though?
think that the Rams are one of the best teams in the NFL.
Record-wise.
Okay, fine. That's adorable.
But let's see. Who do the Vikings have going forward?
That being said, one of the best teams in the NFL, the entire NFC leaders are all teams that didn't even make the playoffs last year.
That is a very good point.
So, what are we comparing this to? Last year's considered best teams? Because if that's the case, then the Raiders should look a lot better than the dog poop they've been putting out.
Right.
No, because they were one of the best teams last year.
All right, here's
None of this makes sense anymore.
Here's the Vikings' schedule going forward. Detroit, obviously Keenum's starting, short week, and he did just play well against the Rams. After that, they play Atlanta, Carolina, and then Cincy and Green Bay.
The only game where I would consider being worried about Case Keenum losing it is against...
I would consider Atlanta too. Atlanta's defense has stepped up.
Possibly, but the reason I wouldn't trust Case Keenum in the Atlanta game is because no matter where they play, it's in a dome. So there is a good chance that you may have to get in a shootout with Matt Ryan, and that's not easy to do if he can start fighting Julio Jones.
Not your winning quarterback.
But the one thing that I will say about that is Julio Jones is not the same guy that we've seen, and the Vikings defense.
By Xavier Rhodes,
the Vikings defense is far superior to the Falcons defense.
Well, yeah,
that's true.
Tell that to the
Falcons defense
Dallas's
doesn't need to be as good as the Vikings defense because they're facing Case Keenum and not Matt Ryan.
But you have Case Keenum, who's been connecting with his targets against Matt Ryan, who hasn't.
Right, but
Matt Ryan's been consistent the past 6 weeks plus.
And they're favored in Las Vegas to win the Super Bowl.
Julio Jones isn't scoring, but everyone else
I didn't say they were favored to win the Super Bowl. I said they were
Julio Jones
becoming
is the only person
favorite.
not scoring. How many touchdowns does
Becoming
Sanu
a
have?
favorite. What a vague statement.
How many touchdowns does...
That's like me saying I'm becoming a president.
Hooper
just not yet.
Coleman, Freeman... Everyone else is scoring except Julio. To me, that's not an issue. That's Julio is getting double covered, and you go to the open guy, and it works.
I hate Case Keenum now. Can we move on?
Let's move. Yeah, because we got a bunch more to go.
I hate Case Keenum.
Saints 34, Redskins 31. What a game!
That was such a fun game to watch.
Not if you like defense. And 60 minutes only of football.
Oh man. If you're the Redskins, so many mistakes to let them back in that game. They pretty much had that game sealed up, were in the midst of putting a bow on it, and then just lit the whole thing on fire.
We've seen this twice this season with two of my favorite teams. The Cowboys doing this against the Packers, and then Penn State just absolutely getting buried.
Yeah, that was definitely a fun game to watch if you're not a Redskins fan.
It shows you do not count out God tier quarterbacks, no matter what the score is. With the NFL, the only way that the game is over is when the clock reads 0.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the Redskins thought they won it, and they stopped. And then by the time they realized things were getting out of control, it was too late to stop.
Like the Falcons.
I don't think the Rams are it's not the Rams. The Saints are sneaky, really good right now. They started off like 0-2 and
have won everything since.
I actually kind of... I see what you're saying, but I kind of disagree. Right now, they kind of remind me of Pirates. Drew Brees like, I'm coming! And they're like, he's miles away. And then he shows up at your door, and then he kills you.
Yeah.
That's what's going on.
Their running game is firing on all cylinders.
That's the understatement of the season.
Melvin Ingram and Alvin Kamara are... an amazing combo.
When Adrian Peterson's your third string running back.
That feeling when way and your running team gets better.
That feeling when Adrian Peterson's your third string running back.
Yeah. The Saints have Drew Brees. They have good receivers. Their defense went from being an absolute joke last season and several seasons preceding that. We were still laughing at them through weeks, probably up until week 4 when we were like, oh wait, they're actually not that bad now that they're at 500. Lattimore has been fantastic, but he's not the only one. They're seeing improvement from a lot of their guys
From what I watched, it's not that they're even talented, they're just physical. Like, their physicality is taking over the game.
They're playing with attitude, and from what I've seen, it tends to be due to just getting that mentality, whether from one guy or a couple guys in the locker room.
It's like the Enes Kanter argument that I made earlier.
Yeah. And, to do another New York team, I think it's something you're starting to see from the Jets with their young safeties.
Oh, good.
That's probably where they're getting it from. I mean, you're seeing
Lattimore
set a different tone that's never been there, unless, of course, there was incentive to hurt people.
I'm pretty sure Marshawn Lattimore's like, no, LSU sucks. I got this.
He's setting the bar, and they are rising to it. So.
Do you know what it probably was? I bet Malik Hooker, Garyon Conley, and Marshawn Lattimore all had a bet. Like, I bet I'm going to have a better season than you. Ferrari says I have a better season than you.
That being said, Malik Hooker was having a great season until he went down with the injury.
Yeah.
He was playing real well for Indianapolis.
Well, I mean, it's easy to stand out on the Colts.
Well, no, absolutely. I mean, it sure as hell is. But, I mean, he certainly looked like, okay, maybe they have something we can build out here, and it's gone.
I could possibly play quarterback for some of these teams in the NFL. I think I could play defense on the Colts. Beat out some of their starters.
I'm not. I have no desire to try and want to get in front of one of these men and tackle them.
The one thing I will say,
if you just dive at their leg, you're probably
that would be my only attempt.
You're probably more of an effective tackler than the Colts currently.
The one thing I will say is he doesn't have it now, but Jacoby Brissett looks like he can be a bad man in the NFL if he ever figures it out.
Mm-hmm.
He's
got all the physical tools.
Good. He's kind of like Teddy Bridgewater.
The game needs to slow down for him. I think everything's coming at him still a little too fast, and it hasn't quite clicked.
I think
if he takes that next step, then he's got it.
I think it's actually the opposite. I think he's so much faster than the rest of the team that they can't keep up with him, and that's screwing them over.
I mean, that could
if he had a more mobile line,
maybe because the line is bad. Frank Gore is like 100.
If he had a more mobile line and he can throw on the run,
running back that wasn't in a wheelchair. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, someone.
Frank Gore's actually quietly been pretty.
Someone
good.
that eats rice pudding because they like it, not because they need to.
Frank Gore's just
the grandfather time. I mean, Colts is just classic terrible GMing, where apparently the only thing you need to win in that GM's mind is receivers.
And a quarterback who we're going to pay $148 million for.
And he's broke.
And it's gone. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, move on.
Yes. In the complete opposite of a good game, Giants 12, Chiefs 9. In the other game where it looked like they were both actively trying to win, this game, the Giants and the Chiefs, looked like they were both actively trying to lose.
The Giants tried to give it to them. They just didn't want
it. Did you guys watch South Park?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where they're playing baseball and both teams.
No,
no one wants to go further in Little League.
No, the debate between Hillary Clinton and Mr. Garrison. And it's like, no, don't trust what I heard. No, she's the better candidate. Yeah. And she's like, don't believe anything that comes out of my opponent's mouth.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
That's what that game was. Yeah.
Anything that you, the Giants fan, want to say about it?
Nope.
Nice catch.
Yeah, nice catch.
Yeah, that was a great catch.
Way to go.
Rosas is clutch.
You blew it.
Rosas is clutch. He's got that gene.
Screw up that draft pick.
Yep. The Succaneers 30 and the I don't even have anything for them. 20 Dolphins. Yeah, sure. The Dolphins.
The Dolphins.
The Dolphins. There you go. The Dolphins. Look at you coming up with Godfather and then the Dolphins. Good.
I'm playing
good.
Right now.
This is why we keep you around. Yeah. That and I like getting yelled at.
No. Sometimes you just start riling me up.
What was the final score of that game?
30-20.
Yeah.
Consider yourself lucky.
Yeah.
Buccaneers are bad. The Dolphins are worse.
Speaking of bad, the Bills. Chargers beat them 54-24.